Start.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about another session on Python full stack development using Django or with the Django framework. And previous session we have discussed about what are the basic features of Python and what we can do and what are the limitations, and as well as what are the IDEs or what are the prerequisites required to develop an application and what kind of applications are popular. And we also visited what are the virtual environment libraries required or programs required. We all discussed in the previous session. In this session, mainly focus on the key elements of what exactly a Python can do and what are the strengths of Python and what is the structure of Python. We will discuss all in this particular session. So coming to outline of this particular Python session, we all focus on the first one. What exactly what are the requirement things for any language is the prime factor called as data types. So what are the data types that are supported by Python? We will discuss in brief about what is exactly data types are required. And the second one is in order to say that Python is popular because of open source, which we discussed, as well as object oriented programming nature is also key nowadays in every language. So we will discuss about object oriented programming features. And the next one is so after knowing this particular data types and what exactly we can work it out, we also discuss about what is the environment required for every Python application. We will see that one, and later we will see what is the naming and as well as package scope is required. We will see in a brief. And the prime important data science or machine learning or natural language processing or deep learning, there are so many important libraries are there. One of the key packages or libraries are called as Pandas and Matplotlib and what is NumPy. So we all discuss in this particular session. So this session is very crucial, and we also trying to see what exactly these nature of these applications in this particular session. So coming back to the data types, as you maybe come across with different data types in our C or Java languages, but this particular language is no exceptional, but we will slowly include what are the important data types. The first one is number. We will straight away generally called as integer, but here in Python the basic data types are categorized in two slides, which we separated in two slides. So the first one is number. So number category comes with the four subcategories or four types of things are called as numbers. One is called as int, one is called as float, one is called as double, and the next one is bool. Bool means boolean. We hope you know about in a true or false, yes or no, male or female. These kind of true or false nature of variables or data can be stored by using these kind of data types, but these four under a naming data type called as number. So int comes under number, float comes under number, double comes under double precision we call this, and then we comes under with boolean data types as a number data type. In the next slide we will see the other data types which are very crucial in nature. So the first one is string. Most of the Python success lies in the string data type. So what is string data types? Are generally called as collection of characters, but in particular about what exactly the Python will do is a huge set of strings or string formattings are supported in the Python. One is called as single quoted string and double quoted string. There is a requirement if you have a double quoted nature is also valid, or single quoted is valid, and in general we are better to work with a double quoted. Why? We will discuss in the practical session. And also there is a new type called as docstring. So what is docstring means? Generally doc means it is a 3 single quoted string. That means it is 3 single quotes starts and 3 single quotes ends up. We call them as a docstring. Generally it is used for documentation. Example, suppose you need to write a passage of work, or you need to explain about what you are exactly doing in your project. If you want to write a complete documentation, every project or program can be incorporated with a 3 single quoted text, then it will be called as a docstring. It is a very, very important thing when we deal with the bigger projects or huge projects. Then it is a best way to write a documentation for that project using 3 single quoted string. We call them as a docstring. We will do a practical thing on docstring also. The next one is all about formatted string. This is 3.6. Earlier they use a concept called as formatted string, and that is replaced with a powerful type of string called as F string. I recommend everyone, or we supposed to work mostly with the F strings than the formatted string. So from 3.6 later onwards we use a concept called as an F string. So F string is nowadays a trending thing than the formatted string. Hope you may find out all the documentation over there, but the F string is quite useful when you dealing with the web applications, which is our prime course we will discuss, right? And the most important data types are called as list, set, tuple, dictionary, and class, and reference, and none. So I will take a 1 hour minute on this thing, because we will do it a hands-on on each data type in the coming sessions. So list, set, tuple, and dictionary comes under collections. If you remember, in the previous session we discussed about collections. Collections are generally used for what? Use set, data set kind of a representation, like queues, like what you call a stack kind of a thing, or use default dictionaries or numpy kind of actions. Then we required a collection data types. There also we mentioned in the previous session as what? Data structures. So data structures, for your understanding, I'm just quoting collections as a data structure. It doesn't mean the same. So that is also we use as a collection. So comes under list, set, tuple, dictionary are also collection types, which will store more than one value. Example, if you want to store names, then we use these collection. What makes it different? List is having a collection of values, but it can allow duplicates, and we can add or delete or insert or modify. We can do it. We call it as a mutable, immutable characteristics. We'll discuss in hands-on. So list is a collection of elements where it do have a collection of elements, but they can be repeated, but they can be, and also they can be modified. We can change the order of values here and there. That is called as list. When comes to the set, the name itself, if you are come across with a mathematical background, set always allows uniqueness, or which doesn't allow duplicates. So if you have something called as courses, there is no course with the same name or no course with the same course code. Then we used to store a collection of courses under what? Set. Suppose names, you have a collection of names, then there may be a name with a name called as Gopi, Murali, or someone else, Vijay. They may have the same name repeated. Then it doesn't mean that they are need to be unique. So then we use what? List. List is used for allowing duplicates. Set doesn't allow duplicates, and we cannot modify. We can modify. And the next one is tuple. The most people will have a confusion what is tuple is all about. Some people called as a array, We should not call it as array. Why? Because wait for the last slide, then you can understand why we should not call it as an array. So tuple is a fixed, where we cannot modify, where we cannot delete or add or insert. We cannot do it. It's kind of a fixed collection, and it allows duplicates. Set doesn't allow, tuple allows duplicates, but it is fixed. Then we use what? Tuple. And the next one is called as dictionary. The most I personally, or we called as whenever we working with in the coming days, it is no way we need to disclose this one, or we should not omit this one. It is called as dictionary. So dictionary is a pair of key and values, which is like what used in JSON, used in APIs. So we should be focused more on dictionaries. It is like key and values, and keys must be unique. We should not make this as a duplicate. Values can be duplicate, but keys must be unique. And class, obviously we discuss in the next slide what is object oriented programming. And Python also supports what we call as references. So what is references is like what addressing. So that also we can discuss. And the most important thing, nothing is also something. So which my teachers always say, nothing is also something. So if there is no if you say what you call as in a space, vacuum doesn't mean that nothing, there is something is there. So similarly, none is also very, very popular. It is like null. If you see anywhere in the Java, we use a null to initialize that list collection is empty. So we can use none as a one of the data types also. So these are the prime data types. List, set, tuple, dictionary are very important. Dictionary is most important. Class is obviously object oriented programming. Next slide. So as I already discussed, or we discussed about what is a class, you come across with your C++ or something called as Java. In your earlier days, there is a concept called as class. Class is a collection of, you may say that objects, but better to make it as collection of methods and properties. So class is something which is a combination of methods and properties together under a one name or one abstract way. We call them as called as collection. A collection of properties and methods together is called as class. In this class construction, if you see the structure of class, syntax of class, then you can understand. And here also we can discuss about indentations also. Every class is having a class keyword, class name, and if you see, there is a C and N is uppercase, because it is a one kind of a notation or naming convention should be followed. The first letter must be uppercase, and the next word, if there is any other word, that should be started with the uppercase, and followed by, it should have an self, or it should be inheritance. Inheritance can be possible by giving the parent class name under that parenthesis. And colon, Python support indentation. What is indentation? Means a tab space for a what we call as a grouping. Generally, I will make it simple. In C language, void main, after that you will use a curly braces. In Java also, after public static void main or class, you will use parenthesis, like open parenthesis and closed. Inside you will write the code. But Python is something special, where we use a tab between what you call as your class and whatever the under grouping structure of that class must be defined using indentation. Just give a tab, not space. I personally, or we recommend you not to use the space bar, use the tab to give the space, then it will be better. So it is called as delimiter, delimited. So we'll see that delimited indentation in the next coming days. And every class, in your earlier Java or C++ class concept, there is a constructor. Here there is a special method. Don't ever call it as double underscore init as a constructor. It is a method. we call them as a dunder methods. This is a special method for initialization. It's not a constructor but works like a constructor. So it do have a keywords like super. You obviously come across with the super means inheritance, parent child class inheritance. You'll see all those practically. So for a briefing of these concepts, I just go through the syntax, that's it. And every function is start with a keyword called def or defining function and followed by the name of the function, and it takes a one argument called as a self. What is self means, you if you see the syntax, you may be very familiar with the Java. There is a concept called as this keyword. This is nothing but here self. Like that we can define all those things, and hope you find out a one word called as pass. Pass is nothing but just holding for a certain time. It is also keyword. We learn all those things by working with the Python. And for that object oriented programming of this syntax, we required some of the types of methods. So the next thing is how we can define a class. Well, inside a class, what are the things are there? In every class there is a two concepts are there, properties and methods. Every class having two properties called as what we call as instance and as well as class properties. Similarly, methods also three types. One is called as class methods, instance methods, and static methods. So these are all very, very important. Practically we can see them in the coming sessions. Next is what exactly we required is the package management system of what exactly why we required a package management system or virtual environment or namespace, which I already discussed in the previous session with an example saying that there should be a virtual construction should be there, the separation should be there, then only we can make the project separated from other projects, which will reduce what you call as a version conflicts, which I already said in the previous thing. So next slide please. Next, right. So the most important diagram of entire this session is this diagram. If you search this particular diagram with the scope of naming versions or whatever variables, whatever packages, whatever the external libraries, all should have a one kind of area of working. In C language we have also called a scope, like static scope, global scope, local scope, register. I hope I just remind those C kind of a scopes, scope and lifetime, which is already there. So in the Python we have these three scopes. That means whenever the interpreter looks for any variable, first it will check inside the circle. What is that? Local. Then it looks at outside of that space, we call as global. If it is not available, then it looks for the external. If it is not available, any guess? It is error. So whenever our interpreter of Python, because Python is interpreted language, so whenever a variable or package or whatever you write in the code of a Python, first the interpreter search inside the local, then it looks for the global, and then it looks for the external libraries if available. If that is also not available, then it will throw errors. So error mechanism also explained in this diagram, and scope of the variables also explained in this diagram, and nature of libraries also explained here. Example, built-in libraries, if you say date and time, OS, regular expression, those are all in local. If you install Pandas, Django, then it is global. If you want to access from the external sources, like as I said, they may be come from the external library. So use this particular diagram, which is very, very important. Next slide please. So the very important concept which we discussed is what exactly the Pandas is all about. So Pandas is not simple. Pandas is one of driving force for data science, artificial intelligence domains everywhere. So it is more similar like a CSV files a module in our Python itself, but it is for a small set of data. Then we use CSV module. If there is 1,000 people or crores of a people, then we can go for Pandas. What is Pandas do is a data analyzation. Example, I'll give our university people, how many students are there? There are 20,000. Then what you will do? Then we will do how we can analyze them. We can do it by using Pandas. So it is a visualization tool, and it is used for large data sets, and it is looks like CSV, but it is not CSV, and it is faster than CSV files. So this is the important package which is externally we should install using pip install. Next one is called as Matplotlib. No. Matplotlib. I think there is one more thing called as Matplotlib, and NumPy is also used for what you call a data visualization thing. So so what exactly is NumPy, which I already said tuple in the previous slides. NumPy is an array, n dimensional array, whereas tuple is not an array, which is just like a pair. Pair doesn't mean that they are a group. So we use NumPy as one kind of represent a homogeneous data. Then we use an array. N dimensional arrays can be accessed, processed by using an NumPy. But tuple is just like a collection of two things only, pair of two things only. Just it gives a impression that it is array, but it is not array. So with that note, what are the important documentations are there? In the next slide, we provide the links. You can go ahead and download the Python and download the PyCharm, which we explained in the previous session also. And for that documentation, you can go ahead with the Pandas documentation. If you want to know what are the documentation things for Pandas, you can go ahead with this website. The link is also there. You can go through this particular what is Pandas, how it is different from others. We can see that. And the next one, which is Matplotlib also, which is for visualization, like what graphs. If you scroll around it, you can find so many graphs, charts, visualization tools are also there. So you can go ahead with Matplotlib. And if you so if you want to work with more kind of data to be stored in a dimensional arrays, you can go ahead with the NumPy. So all the things which we provide in this link can be useful for your reference, and you can also work it out. Thank you, and all the best. Thank you.